Good evening. The time is now 7 o'clock, and we're going to go ahead and commence our regularly scheduled board meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 12, 2011. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have established a quorum. At this time, we're going to go ahead and go on to number 2, Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags. And I'd like to go ahead and present the students who will be assisting with this part of the agenda. This evening we have Jennifer Vigil and Andrea Rodriguez. Okay, we just have Andrea Rodriguez. Jennifer Vigil present. Jennifer Vigil will be enrolled as a 5th grade student at La Encantada Elementary for the 2011-2012 school year. Jennifer is 10 years old. Her favorite subjects are math and language arts. On her spare time, Jennifer enjoys drawing and reading. Jennifer's accomplishments include commended performance in reading and math in 3rd grade and math and writing in 4th grade. Jennifer has also maintained perfect attendance since 1st grade. Jennifer's parents are Martin and Alicia Vigil. She also has one brother, Martin. Jennifer wishes to thank her parents for their dedication and love. At this time, if we can please have her parents stand and be recognized. Jennifer, if you can please approach the microphone. If everyone will please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas state under God, one and indivisible. Please bow your heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your opportunity to gather here today. Guide our board members and administrator leaders as they make decisions for this next school year. Allow our teachers to rest and return prepared to teach. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer, and her parents for bringing her this evening, and we continue to expect her to excel as she moves on into the 5th grade and on forward. Okay, moving on, I'd like to go ahead and recognize the board members who are present by doing our roll call. Present today, Hector G. Leal, please respond with present. June Aguilera. Present. Oscar de la Fuente Jr. Julian Huerta. Present. Oscar Medrano. Bob Timberlinson. Mr. Limon. Present. And Mr. Acevedo. Here. Thank you. Moving on to number 5, public comment. At this time, we do not have anyone signed up for public comment. Next on the agenda is special recognition. This school year, we did have a very special team who we'd like to recognize this evening for all their accomplishments, and Ms. Celeste Sanchez will be assisting us with that.
Good evening, board members. It is my pleasure and deep honor to present to you the Lady Hounds Softball 32-5A District Champs, by-district champs, area champs, regional quarter finalist champs, regional semifinalist champs, Sweet 16 regional finalists, Elite 8, RGV's Team of the Year, first seed in playoffs, second place at the Missions Fast Pitch Team Championship of the La Jolla Fast Pitch Tournament, second place at the Corpus Christi Bay Bash Tournament. First, Cassandra Contreras, honorable mention.
At this time, I'm sorry, Ms. Sanchez, I'd like to interject real quick. If I can please have board members present, please approach the front to recognize these students.
Cassandra received honorable mention. Her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Rene Contreras. Jacqueline Elizondo. Jacqueline is first team all-district. Her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Trujillo Elizondo. Adriana Flores. Adriana is tri-MVP All-Valley team. Her parents are Mrs. Georgina Flores. Amanda Garza? Not here. Amanda is tri-MVP All-Valley team RGV Female Athlete of the Year, and her parents are Mr. Ricardo and Mrs. Norma Garza. Amber Hassel? Amber is Freshman of the Year, All-Valley MVP. Her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Juan Hassel. Dulce Martinez. Dulce is varsity player. Her parents are Miss Olivia Garcia. Dorothy Milan. Dorothy is second team all-district, and her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Milan. Isenia Peñablanca. Isenia is tri-MVP All-Valley team. Her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Benito Peñablanca. Melanie Ramirez. Second team all-district. Her parents, Ms. Mary Perez. Maria I. Rivas. Varsity player. Her parents are Rene Rivas and Zulema Uribe. Roxanne Rivas. Varsity player. Her parents are Rene Rivas and Zulema Uribe. Cassandra Sanchez. Cassandra is first team all-district, all-valley team, and her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Rafael Sanchez. Giselle Tamayo. Giselle is second team all-district. Her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Jesse Tamayo. Courtney Vasquez, varsity player. Her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Jerry Vasquez. I now introduce to you the 32-5A Coach of the Year, All-Valley Coach of the Year, Elias Martinez. Lamar Lewis. Gilberto Rodriguez. Leticia Pope. Christian Longoria. These are the coaches that tell me that the girls, even though small in size, played with a lot of heart and never gave up. Their district record is 13-1, and their overall record is 34-5. So, Coach, if you will step forward to receive your trophy, and girls, if you will step forward to receive the team trophy.
You can't see Amber? Get the one in the back, please. Thank you very much.
I neglected to recognize the high school principal of these girls, Mrs. Delia Weaver, who's in the audience.
And again, girls, congratulations. This is a great accomplishment and a job well done. Continue doing it next year again, Coach. We expect a lot from you. No pressure. No pressure. Moving forward with our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, we will announce to the board the overnight trip that has been scheduled. San Benito High School FFA, the State FFA Convention in Lubbock, Texas, July the 11th through the 15th. We also have an update on our special education progress. At this time, I will call forward Teresa Cantur, Director of Special Education, Mr. Orlando Guerra, our Principal to PRC, Daryl Hester, and Amador Rodriguez Boot Camp. They have a presentation to make to the board.
Good evening. We'd like to provide for you a quick update on the special ed program monitoring and intervention. And there's two areas monitored. And on the first sheet of your handout, I have the performance-based monitoring analysis system. And those are all the areas that are monitored for PBMAS. And that is a monitoring system for the entire district. The second page is our RF facility tracker. And this is the list of the areas that were monitored. This was the presentation. Both are monitored by TA that the TA representative did about 3-4 months ago. So we wanted to update you on the status of where we were at with that. The third page is just a little overview so that you see on PBMAS is a universal monitoring, and that monitors every special ed student in San Benito CISD at all of our home campuses. The RF facility monitors Daryl Hester, Amador Rodriguez Boot Camp, our SCAN, which is Serving Children and Adolescents in Need, and our Hester Amador SCAN and Sunny Glen Children's Home. The only students from the RF facility that are on our home campuses are Sunny Glen. So all of the rest are from, and we'll have the numbers to show you. The first one, if you look up to the first tab, is your PBMAS. And we worked with Christy Hart from TA, and you will see we started with 2008. And your first page shows this is for students. It is indicator 1 for the math, reading, science, social studies, and writing. And you will see the gains throughout from year to year for all of our special ed students that took TAKS. Our projections from 2010 on each area were 5 to 7%, and as you can see, we exceeded every area on our core subjects. If you go to the second page, the dropout was the only area of concern, and that was 3 students. But because the percentages are so small, 3 students, as you see, makes a difference. And one of the things we're looking at there is coding, because if the students that have returned to Mexico, or many of our students that are out of state, if they're not picked up through PEAMS, then they're going to show up as a dropout. So we're looking at those. Our graduation, as you see, went from 67 to 79.8. So those are huge growths in all areas. Our LEP representation, we've continued to decrease. These are students that are identified as special ed and LEP. On the next page, our DAEP, our numbers have dropped substantially. And the DAEP is our alternative ed placement for special ed students. And these students that they're looking at here are not mandatory placements. These are only discretionary, and it's TA discretionary, not San Benito CISD. So these are the discretionary, and you can see how much the numbers have dropped there. On our in-school suspension, we've decreased those numbers, as well as students that are suspended off school. So we have really made huge gains. On after the first colored sheet, I did include for you the actual report to show the indicators, what the state rate is, what our district is, and if you would look at indicator 12, the SPED representation, I included for you 2010, 9, and 8. It's after the first colored divider in the PBMAS section. And on there, the state rate is 8.5, and our district is well below at 7.2. So we've done real well in that area. And I just gave it to you for your reference. I also included for you, after that colored, the next colored sheet has our continuous improvement plan, and it shows everything that our districts continue to do. And the very last page before the RF divider is the email from TA, and it's right before the divider that says RF tracker. And that's the one from TA that has congratulated the school district, and with the program monitoring and intervention, it has concluded, and she just wanted to compliment the support of Mr. Limon, Ms. Sanchez, and yourselves, your continued support, and that's the way we've been able to make such gains there. The second section is the RF facilities, and that's our residential facilities, and again, those are the correctional facilities that we are currently servicing. We are in the process of submitting right now to TA our final report, and Mr. Guerra's going to go over the numbers, because what we found is that the students that are being serviced and the students who are being monitored, you'll see the numbers are not, they're from our surrounding districts.
Thank you. If you look at the tab right after the RF tracker, you'll notice it says South Texas Boot Camp. That's what considered our Amador Boot Camp. Okay, we serviced 91 kids total this year. And the next one is the Del Hester. We serviced 572 kids there. Okay. The grade levels are there. I'll have a chart in the next couple of pages showing you the breakdown as well. On the next page where it says credits earned, the kids at Amador are a little bit different. They're there for up to 200 days. They reside there, they sleep there, they can't go home. It's pretty much they're locked up. Okay, their average there 200 days. So on average, they'll be there 134 days out of school time that they'll be there. Those kids earned 260 credits, 60.5 credits, those students. The students that were in scans, they averaged 45 days. That's the program that they go through. It's like a drug rehab, so they're there for 45 days, those kids. And within that time, all the kids that went through there, they received, or actually they didn't receive, they earned 74.5 credits, okay? The next page where it says enrollment by grade level, this is our Dora Hester. Total, if you look on the right-hand side, it's 572 kids that we serviced. But the amazing part is we had 1 third grader, we had 6 fourth graders. Again, this is Dora Hester, the facility that where they're locked up. 8 fifth graders, 28 sixth graders, 69 seventh graders, 91 eighth graders, 278 ninth graders, 58 10th graders, and 33 11th graders. Okay. Now again, this is Darrell Hester. They're all from all over the valley, and I'll have the breakdown. We service these kids. If you look at the next page where it says Darrell Hester, the breakdown on regular ed versus special ed, of the 572 kids that were there at Darrell Hester, 449 were regular kids, 123 were special ed. That's 23% of them were special ed. Now keep in mind that the state standard is 8.5 per district. This is just one facility. So we're way above that. And that's, again, we don't have control who goes there. These are kids that get arrested. If you look at the next page, kind of broke it down. Brownsville had 294 kids that were housed there. Of those 294 total, 82 were special ed alone. That made 28% of their population was special ed. So you can notice that a majority are from Brownsville. The next one is Harlingen. 102 kids came from Harlingen. 19 were special ed. That's a 19%. The next page is, you see San Benito's. 57 kids were there from San Benito only. Again, this is out of the 572. 13 of those were special ed, so that makes it 23%. And you can see the numbers go down. As well, we have the kids from Matamoros that we serve. That's 30 of them. And you can see the numbers from there on. Los Fresnos, Port Isabel. The next page, we got them from all over. You can see La Feria, Falfurrias, La Sara, Houston, Corpus. So we get them from everywhere. Okay. The next one is our South Texas Boot Camp. That is our Amador. We service 91 kids there. 4 of them were 7th graders, 8 of them are 8th graders, 69 are 9th graders, 2 of them were 10th graders, 8 of them are 11th graders. You won't see that many 12th graders because by that time they're more or less 18 years old, so they're in the adult system already. Okay. If you look at the percentage, regular ed to special ed, regular ed, 66 of kids were regular ed, 25% of that, 25 were special ed, that's a 27%. Again, going back to the state standards, 8.5 is for a district. This campus alone is at 27%. Okay. You get to see where they're coming from, Rio Hondo, San Benito. Those are the numbers that they came in. 13 came from San Benito, 3 were special ed, 23% were what we have from San Benito. We have them from Georgetown, from Bryan, Los Fresnos, Laredo, Alice. Okay. And of course, the last facility we have, which is our SCAN, we call it the RGV Youth Recovery. These are kids that are in there for 45 days. We service 78 of those. These are the kids housed at PRC. Okay. Again, we have 1 6th grader, 1 7th grader, 15 8th graders, 47 9th graders, 10 10th graders, 3 11th graders, and 1 12th grader for that category. The next part where it says the breakdown from special ed to regular ed, 82% were regular ed, and 18% was special ed. Okay. And you have the breakdown of population. Majority of these kids will come from Laredo and from Brownsville. They do have a SCANS unit in Laredo, and what they'll do is any kids from this area that the judge sends them to the SCANS program usually get shipped to Laredo, and the judges from Laredo will send them to this program down here for the SCANS unit. They try to keep them away from their environment. Okay, and that's how we get them here, because their school resides within San Benito, so they come to our school. The breakdowns there, we get them from Three Rivers, Sinton, Rockport, Rio Grande City, Portland. So they come pretty much from everywhere, the ones from SCANS.
The monitor will be here tomorrow. They're in the process of preparing the final report. She has been very impressed. One of the things that they found is the majority of what we're spending time doing is correcting paperwork, and probably 98% of it, and she will prepare a report for you, has been from outside sending districts. They've been very pleased. She has complimented the district, and you can see also in the previous email on the things that are going on and how our facilities are running just like our general ed campuses. So Mr. Limon had asked for an update prior to the final submission from them, so we want to prepare it, and just on behalf of the staff, Mr. Limon, Ms. Sanchez, and ourselves, we wanted to thank you for your support, or otherwise we wouldn't be able to do and make the gains that we have over the past few years.
I just think that we need to emphasize here what the monitor so clearly stated, that we're spending a lot of time correcting mistakes that are not ours, yet we get blamed for them, but yet they're not ours, and that's the way it is because we service everybody that's arrested in Cameron County falls within the boundaries of our school district. But we correct that, and I think they've realized that it's not our fault.
And until we started submitting the paperwork, they have not monitored, for example, some of the districts, one of the larger districts south of ours, she said in over 10 years. So they had not seen the paperwork that was coming in. So as we've been submitting paperwork, their continued question is, show us some of the San Benito. So, but because, and this, the numbers he gave you was for the entire year. And our numbers though went back from June of last year. The 2 or 3 folders we submitted were at 100%. All of the folders, over 90% that we were cited on, unfortunately, were from Brownsville, and we're starting to work closely with them. They have been very receptive and worked with us. However, again, like she said, the minute they're arrested and transported, they become San Benito CISD. So whatever the paperwork, we've inherited, and it's up to us. So what we've started doing is that we've assigned a diagnostician that goes to every single ARD. So at the transfer ARD, and that's the very last page, that's the information we get. We have an assessment person present, so any corrections that need to be made, we're trying to make them right there on the spot, so that when we submit, even though it's in a temporary ARD, the corrections are made. And we didn't have the luxury to have someone full-time there. We have kids we've had last year as young as 2nd grade. He had been retained, so he was 10 years old. So we have to have, of course, teachers certified, highly qualified in all areas, and we do.
Well, I know our district has to incur the expense of the monitor, and we pretty much are having to foot the bill because other districts aren't sending us the paperwork. Now, is this going to be continuing? I mean, next year, are we also going to be getting the monitor? Is this going to be something that happens every year because we're not getting paperwork?
I just received an email from TA today. They did send a list of, I think there's about 18 students. We will be sending the final packet to them, and at that point, 100%, then we're clear. And we've gone through every file. The monitor will be here tomorrow. She has checked every single file and read them. We've redone all the operating guidelines, and that's not something that they've checked, but she's gone through every single folder, line by line, and so we're just going to have to continue to redo them all. As they come in, if there's any mistakes, we're just going to fix them, but we will be cleared within next 2 to 3 weeks. She said that they were very busy, so it would take 2 or 3 weeks before.
So you're saying we're going to continue to have a monitor year in and year out because?
No, so we're going to ensure that after the next 2 to 3 weeks when we're cleared, that we are not going to, if it takes, and we've been working where we're also going through the ARDs line by line after hours. If that's what it takes, we're going to do it to make sure we do not get another monitor.
Yeah, but these ARDs that you're dealing with are from other districts. Right. And are we getting cooperation from the other districts in this regard, or are they just pretty much just saying, well, since they're in your district, that's your problem? And I mean, if that's the response we're getting from the other districts, then we need to take action either at the county level or maybe at the state level, you know, to correct those problems if we're not getting any cooperation.
And those were Mr. Limon's concerns. So I did call Judy Struve, and she is in charge of all the program monitoring and intervention. And we were hesitant to do it, but she did recommend, because those were the exact same concerns that Mr. Limon had, is we are now, when we call and ask for records, and we do have a couple of districts that have said exactly that, you know what, they're not our problem. So we're now asking for their name, and in the information that we submit, we're writing the person's name, what time we called, the sending district refused to submit records. We're now emailing their superintendent, CCing Mr. Limon and Ms. Sanchez, and their special ed director. So we're starting to, it's become a big paper trail, and we're spending, this year alone, just at Daryl Hester, our diagnosticians documented she's done over 250 ARDs just at that facility. So we're just taking the extra time, and after hours, CCing Ms. Sanchez and Mr. Limon anytime that the district, and we still have them, that the diagnosticians are saying that, well, you know, you guys have them figure it out. And so we're putting, she recommended we put all that in writing. And one of the districts was a little upset, and, you know, because we did, but it would be the only way for us to document that we're trying to get the records and they're not sending them.
Well, I would think that TA would be directing the other school districts to cooperate with us. It sounds to us like we're just begging them, please send us the information, please send us the information, and it shouldn't be that way. I mean, we need to take some proactive approach and tell TA, you know, we're doing the best that we can, but if we're not getting cooperation from other districts, well, you need to do something to have them, they can either be penalized or they can cooperate with us. Because we're just sitting here basically saying, please send us the information, and if they don't want to send it, well, we get penalized, they don't.
And Mr. Limon did speak with the TA monitor and told her exactly that if we're going to be monitored, you know, that, and they're not going to be cooperative, then what is TA going to do to step in? And they did have a meeting last week. She hasn't shared with us yet how it went, but she was going to continue to talk to Austin, the monitor that we have, to see what they can do, because her concern was that the students, the majority of the students, were spending more time and staff making corrections on students that are maybe here, even just some of them are only here 24 hours, and then the judge releases them, and we've spent, Mr. Geddes put in 2-3 hours that day, the diagnostician has spent, and we have everything ready, and then the next morning the child's gone.
Well, I think something needs to be done probably either at the county level to get maybe they need to establish another facility in Brownsville or in another portion of the valley, I mean, of you know, the Cameron County, that says, well, you know, if you have something south in Cameron County, you send them to that facility and we'll take care of the northern portion of the valley. I don't know if
any student, any child arrested in Cameron County is transported to our facility. And we had students from the Lubbock area during spring break that were arrested, and we picked them up at Daryl Hester. By the time we had everything set up to have their meeting, you know, all the time it spent, then the judge released them at the end of the week. We have students that the parents, we had one at Amador Rodriguez that the judge released, and the parent refused to pick him up, so they transferred him back to Hester. And so even though he was no longer adjudicated by the courts, we had to re-enroll him.
Well, it just seems like we're being asked to do a lot without getting cooperation from the other districts, and I don't think that's something that we should tolerate.
We'll continue to pursue aggressively, Mr. De La Fuente.
Thank you.
Okay, next item under superintendent's report is disbursements and disbursements by organization. That concludes the superintendent's report. Answer any questions any of the board members may have.
Okay, being that there are no questions, we're going to go ahead and move on to item number 8, school construction report.
Good evening. At the Angela Leal Elementary. The architect and his staff has already generated a punch list. That means that all those items that are identified by them, the contractor needs to correct, and they begin already to correct those items. Approximately 98% of the project has been completed. The turning lanes that the county is working on, they're making some progress on that. They're telling me that they should have them ready before the students come into the building. A building committee walkthrough has been scheduled for this campus to consider substantial completion approval on for Thursday, July the 14th. That is an item in the agenda. If you approve authorizing them, we will be able to take care of these things. At Frank Roberts and Landrum, cafeteria renovations, demolition at Frank Roberts has been completed. Demolition at Landrum will be completed by the end of the week. A pre-construction meeting with the general contractor and the subs was held today. Work is to be scheduled at Frank Roberts and at Landrum to begin on Monday the 18th. At high school roof, approximately 95% of the demolition has been completed. Approximately 90% of the new roof has been installed. Approximately 85% of the windows replacement project has already been completed. For the summer projects, a sports complex, HVAC upgrade, chill water lines have been installed. About 90% of those have already been insulated as well. Approximately 85% of the major equipment has been installed. The manufacturer's chiller startup is scheduled for Monday, July the 18th. Building committee walkthrough has been tentatively scheduled to consider substantial completion upon approval on Thursday, July the 28th. In the replacement of asphalt and into concrete in the PE canopies for Cash, Landrum, and La Paloma, 95% of that has already been completed. Today, they pour the last two sections at Dr. Cash. Also, the building committee has scheduled a walkthrough to consider substantial completion approval for this project for Thursday, July the 14th. Are there any questions?
Mr. Ramon, what did we find out at the administration building, the area where Adrian Garcia works? Did you have?
There's some problems at the administration at that end corner of the foundation. Brought in a structural engineer. As far as the structure is sound, there is no problems with footings and everything that supports everything that is in this building. The problem is in the floor in that area. He's going to send something in writing and going to recommend that we go into those two little rooms and saw cut those areas, take the cement out, fix the base, and then he's going to recommend the thickness of cement that we need to put in there, plus the size of the rebar that needs to be in order to correct it. They might be able to do some of it. The only thing when you get to pour in it, they're going to have to, they can still do it, but they're going to have to rent a pump in order to get the cement into those areas. One of the problems is that when this building was built, and it was common maybe at that time, that you do all the footings around it, and then you pour the inside of it. They failed to put dials, rebar, into the main footings so that when the building moves, everything will move. And since that didn't happen, then the cement by itself inside the building will be and that's no rain or too much rain. All of those things are factors that apply to that. But as far as the structure of the building is sound, there is no one in danger. There is no problems with the structure. Yes, no.
And once we get it in writing, we'll proceed to the best way to get it fixed. If it's over a certain amount, we will take it to the building committee.
Item number 9, action agenda. In order to promote efficient meetings, the board may act upon more than one item by a single vote through the use of a consent agenda. Consent items placed on the agenda shall be marked with an asterisk. Consent items are items for which no board discussion is anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. Prior to the time which approval of consent agenda is had at the request of any of the board members, any item on the consent agenda shall be removed and given individual consideration. Under Business and Finance, item number 1107A-1, request for approval of bids received on the following: A, office supplies, B, teaching instructional supplies. Consent. Item 1107A-2, request for approval of bids received on awards, incentives, and printed materials. Consent. 1107A-3, request for approval of proposal on workers' compensation.
I have a question on that one.
Okay. Question by Ms. Aguilera. Item 1107A-4, request for approval of proposal on property and casualty.
I also have a question on that one.
Question for Ms. Aguilera. Item 1107A-5, request for approval of bids on walk-in purchases on the following items: A, school groceries, B, general hardware, C, general merchandise.
Question.
Question by Ms. Aguilera. Item 1107A-6, request for approval of granting authority to the Building Committee to accept substantial completion of the following projects: A, Angela G. Leal Elementary School, B, PE canopy concrete pads at Dr. Cash Elementary, Landrum, and La Paloma Elementary Schools, C, sports complex HVAC renovations, D, Bobby Morrow track. Consent. Item 1107A-7, request for approval of 2010-2011 budget amendments. Consent. Item 1107A-8, request for approval of budget transfers. Consent. Under Curriculum and Instruction, item 1107A-9, request for approval of the Region 1 Library and Media Cooperative Services for the 2011-2012 school year. I have a question on that one. Under Administration, 1107A-10, request for approval of board minutes. Consent. Item 1107A-11, request for approval for superintendent to negotiate and enter into the interlocal cooperation agreement and memorandum of understanding MOU with Cameron County in regards to the JJAEP for 2011-2012. Consent. Okay. I'd like to.
I have a question on number 11. Check that off the consent agenda.
Okay. Question on 1107A-11, Mr. De La Fuente. I'd like to request approval for the following: 1107A-1, 1107A-2, 1107A-6, 1107A-7, 1107A-8, 1107A-10. Okay. Motion made by Mr. Leal, seconded by Mr. Tumberlinson. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We had a question on 1107A-3, Ms. Aguilera.
Adrian, I would have to talk to you about this one. My main concern and question was, I was looking, and I know, is this gonna be, did we get new proposals, or is this just gonna be a continuation? Did you go out and, you know?
No, they send us a renewal premium, and if the same premium as we paid last year, we have the option to either take it or just drop everything and start all over. This is the last year of the 3-year deal, and they're keeping it at the same rate, so we asked the super if we could just continue with the same rate, same premium. I think we're getting a deal here, and so we're asking the board to recommend to accept the renewal premium for that amount, for $462.
But, so we haven't gone out to see if there's
No,
anybody
we
that's...
did it 3 years ago. We're just asking for the renewal to be, the option to be accepted.
Okay. Same questions for the property and casualty insurance, is the fact that, you know, there was, I didn't show here that, like, there was any bids, that we had
No,
gone out for anything.
That one, the TASB, which is an interlocal agency with San Benito, we've been going down on the premium substantially. Like it was at $330, and then it went to $319, and right now it's at a great premium at $264,000. It went down from $319. So we feel that we better, you know, it's a great premium now for TASB, and the reason we have it is they offer that type of premium is we've been having a pretty clean record, like clean record as to very little claims or no claims at all, which includes professional liability, fleet insurance, which is all the buses, all the trucks, and the maintenance. It includes all the insurance on all the audiovisual equipment, all the band instruments and everything. So we have a very good claim record. So they're giving us a very, very excellent premium at $264 compared to $330,000 2 years ago. So it's a very good sale.
Okay.
We're asking for it.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, if you have a good claim record, your insurance premium should go down. Okay, so, I mean, if we have a good record, I guess, you know, the rate is going down, but it's not going down on the workers' compensation. I mean, what is our record or our claim record being on the workers' compensation?
The
mean,
workers' compensation is a little bit different from property in the sense that it covers injuries on the job by the employees. And we've been going up in the last, maybe this coming year, we might be phasing out the increases in employees, but they're giving us what is called the same rate, which if they keep the same rate, it will be the same premium.
Okay, well, are you
and
saying?
And it's also, just to say, it's also a fully funded proposal. It's not a self-funded proposal, it's a fully funded. In other words, all we pay is $462, and we don't have to pay continue to pay any payments on injuries, workers' comp payments after the year ends. It's just a one-time premium.
Well, I understand that, but, I mean, can you tell me what our claims were last year? Because, I mean, face it, if we're paying, you know, $100,000 in claims, or the insurance company paid, and I'm just throwing this figure out, $100,000 in claims last year, and they're charging us $462,000. I mean, they're making a profit of $362,000. I mean, can you tell me what the claims were last year and what kind of profit margin they had, or what?
I don't have that information.
Janie had surgery and she wasn't unable to be here tonight.
Well, he shared with us in the committee that as of right now, we are over $100,000 ahead in this company that they're going to wind up losing this year on us because of the workman comp. That even with that, they're giving us the same premium, but the company's going to lose over $100,000 over what we paid this year.
You know, I just wanted to avoid the situation where we have a real good workers' comp record, and I mean, it's ridiculously low in our claims of last year, and then they're charging us the same premium instead of lowering it. But if you're telling me that our claims are somewhere near the neighborhood and are comparable, then I'm willing to go along with that. But I just want to avoid the situation where we have a very good claim record, and then we're still paying the same premium when it should be lowered. But if Mr. Limon is willing to represent to me that the claims are substantial and that this is a good deal, well, I'll go along with that. But I just wanted to ask that question.
Yes, sir. That was the information that was shared by Janie at the committee, that we are right now about over $100,000.
Okay.
Are there any other questions on either of these two items? Okay.
Superintendent's or the administration's recommendation on both item 1107A-3 and 1108A-4 on the workers' compensation and property and casualty.
Motion made by Mr. De La Fuente, seconded by Mr. Leal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. We also had a question on 1107A-5, request for approval of bids on walk-in purchases on the following items: school groceries, general hardware, and general merchandise. Okay, disregard on that one. Can we have a motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Leal, seconded by Mr. De La Fuente. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Adrian. We also had a question on 1107A-11, request for approval for superintendent to negotiate into the interlocal cooperation agreement and memorandum of understanding MOU with Cameron County in regards to the JJAEP for the 2011-2012 school year. I'm sorry.
Okay, on item number 11, just listening to the discussion about the problems we're having over at the juvenile center in terms of getting information from other school districts, is there any way you can work that into this memorandum of understanding, Mr. Limon?
This, Mr. La Fuente, is the same one that every superintendent signs, and it basically covers the price of what we're charged, which is $79 a day for each child that's expelled. This is into JJAEP. This is not the Amador.
Is it separate and apart from what we just heard a presentation about? Because, I mean, if this is a memorandum we have that concerns the juvenile facility, and we're having problems with other districts, maybe we can work that into the agreement here. But if I'm just asking the question.
It is separate. JJAP is our Juvenile Justice Alternative Ed Center. JJAP is run by Southwest Keys. Those are for students that are expelled by school districts, and generally all the surrounding districts. If you expel, for example, with special ed, you cannot expel to the street, so we would expel to JJP. If it's a discretionary, then we're charged by the day, but you only get a certain number of slots. I don't think we have maybe not even 2 or 3 students there at this time. If it's a mandatory placement, for example, if they expel for drugs or any of those mandatory, then the district isn't charged. But these are what the districts can expel. The other alternative that I gave the report on, those are correctional facilities, and those students are students that have been arrested. For example, at Hester, so although they're at the same site, so it does become a little bit confusing, they are 2 separate entities. However, they are housed, it's Darrell Hester, Amador, and they're housed right adjoined with Amador.
Yeah, that was just something I just thought, right offhand, that we could work into that memorandum of understanding, but if it's 2 different things.
Well, we thought about looking at working, Laredo does have an MOU between United and Laredo ISD, because they were in the same situation that we were in. So, and I didn't know if anyone would ask, and you did, so I did include in there the difference. The reason we opted not to is because for every student that we claim, if you look at we count their attendance, we receive it's a weight of 5.5. So the monies that we draw, we would still have to house them, and we run the risk in Laredo, what TA was supposed to monitor, the implementation of services for one, and the paperwork on the other. And the second district gave up all the money, and it didn't work out that way. So we felt that if we were going to be monitored, we wanted to receive the monies, the federal monies that come with the students.
I see.
If we're going to be expected to put in, and of course I know it still is a very large expense for the district, however, it does draw substantial federal funding. So Mr. Limon felt like if we're going to have to give so much time and effort, which we would gladly do for the students, but we should be able to keep the funding for them as well. But I did include the funding in there for your reference.
Motion made by Mr. De La Fuente, seconded by Mr. Timberlinson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. I had a question on 1107A-9, request for approval of the Region 1 Library and Media Cooperative Services for the 2011-12 school year. My question was just that I noticed that United Streaming wasn't included in the list of resources that we're getting from Region 1. Is that something that we're no longer going to be using?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear, the what was not on the list?
On the services that are being included, the resources from Region 1, I noticed that United Streaming wasn't listed. Is that something that we're no longer using?
We're not, if it's not on the list, that's not what we're getting. Because this letter comes straight from Region 1, and it includes the services.
Would
But I
you be
can
able to check
I-
with Region
yes,
1?
I
Because I know
will.
it's a resource that a lot of the teachers use for their
Okay.
instruction.
I'll look at it.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept as is pending Ms. Celeste Sanchez looking further into the United Streaming. Do I have a motion? Okay, motion made by Mr. De La Fuente, seconded by Mr. Leal. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 10, closed meeting, discussion under the authority of the Texas Government Code 551.071 for the purpose of a private consultation with the board's attorney on any or all subjects or matters authorized by law. A, pending litigations. 551.074 for the purpose of the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee. A, report on personnel. B, level 3 grievance Ibarra. C, level 3 grievance Vela. The time is now 7:57, and we are entering executive meeting. Okay, the time is 10:27, and we are returning from closed meeting. Item number 11, consider action on items discussed in closed meeting 551.071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney on any or all subjects or matters authorized by law. A, pending litigations. 551.074 for the purpose of the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee. A, level 3 grievance for Ibarra, no action. B, level 3 grievance Vela. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees grant the Vela grievance and that the student be reinstated as Bell's captain.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Timberlinson, second by Ms. Aguilera. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. The time is now 10:29, and we are adjourned.